Now we're going to turn to Joseph. It is fascinating to me and deeply encouraging, in fact, that the Gospels take the time to explain the same narrative from the perspective of both parents. If you asked me to talk about our boys, their birth and infancy, I would tell you about them from my perspective. And goodness knows, just ask my friends. I can wax lyrical on that topic. But if you ask their dad, he would tell it differently. So in Matthew's Gospel, we learn how Joseph found out that Jesus was going to be a uniquely special baby. Now, the description of Mary and Joseph's relationship is immediately one of implied tension. Matthew 1:18 says, "This is how the birth of Jesus the Messiah came about. His mother Mary and Joseph had promised to get married, but before they started to live together, it became clear that she was going to have a baby." Not they, she. We can speculate that Joseph's introduction to fatherhood is one of grief and distress at this unplanned pregnancy. Grief for the loss of the family and domestic life that he had expected to have. Fear of what felt like very real betrayal, and distress at the public shame of it all. There are no details about him disclosing his feelings on the matter to anyone. Indeed, in Matthew 1:18-26, chapter 1 verses 18-26, it mentions him thinking and doing, but he does not talk. For whatever reason, compared to Mary, who is described as being upset and asking questions, Joseph is described as quiet and introspective. It says that he did not want to put Mary to shame, so he planned to divorce her quietly. He's a stoical man of action. He was thinking this through when he went to bed, and in his sleep, in his dream, the angel spoke to him. Take note that the angel immediately brings him comfort. Do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife. Now, Joseph was likely older and more educated than Mary, and perhaps that's one reason then why the angel proceeds to quote from Isaiah 7:14. "The virgin is going to have a baby. She will give birth to a son, and he will be called Emmanuel." So in contrast to Mary finding comfort in her friendship with Elizabeth, Joseph reaches theological understanding and ultimately acceptance of his son more quietly and alone. I'm not saying that in this text it's in any way prescriptive of considering when we're considering fathers of children with special needs, but in some way it might help us to consider how much fathers need comfort and support as well, even and especially if they are stoical and introspective. Some parents might identify with Joseph being most concerned about working out what was the best thing to do, making the right decisions, and doing the right thing. Some additional needs parents might manage their anxiety through activity and being task focused. That plus caring for someone is inherently physical and task based. Feeding and dressing, personal care, lifting, transporting. These tasks are often needing done no matter how a parent is feeling. It is fascinating to me that Mary and Joseph have completely different and yet complementary revelations about their child being special. Yes, of course, it's about Matthew writing to the Jewish audience who were predominantly interested in the paternal lineage of the Christ child and the scriptural justification of what happened. And yes, Luke was the physician who paid attention to the socially disadvantaged, especially and including women. But the dovetailing accounts from Mary and Joseph speak to me about teamwork, about marital faithfulness, and unity in stressful circumstances that you didn't foresee when you planned to get married. It can be difficult for a couple to have a child that is different because each parent will process things differently. There's a bittersweet experience whereby you hold delight in your precious and wonderful child, and yet you're bereaved of the child that you thought you were going to have, and you're distressed and anxious to be going through the difficult things that they are going through with them. And couples aren't often perfectly synchronized when they're going through these different feelings, as these feelings come and go. Whilst one might be optimistic about therapies or progress being made one week, the other might turn around and say, well, you haven't had an exhausting day with them, have you? Whilst one might be planning to throw a big fuss for the child's birthday party, their partner says to them, look, you're going to too much fuss. Let's just have a nice day, a normal day with cake. They'll like that more. You're wasting your energy. There can be difficulties. No one parent is more important than the other. Fathers can sometimes feel sidelined, and yet they are so important, as this story of Joseph shows. May we as a community be present in the lives of additional needs fathers, whether they need support to talk or support to simply keep going and do what needs done.